But things did change once Cena. Well, I mean, initially, even when Cena turned babyface and he's still doing the gimmick, it was fine. It was okay. But then things were going to change once Cena, was going to become the big cash cow for WWE, and he got that position as the top guy. It's interesting because it was almost like Batista was going to be the main man, right? Batista after he beat Triple H, at WrestleMania, and that was the main event, But then kind of like Cena Batista changed positions, and after Cena beat JBL at WrestleMania 21, Cena then goes to Raw, Batista goes to SmackDown, and most people would say Raw was the A show, the main show at that time, and Cena then becomes the main man. And then gradually things just started to kind of change, and the crowd reactions, people weren't taking to him as much. And I think it all kind of started around that time with the feud with Jericho. And I think it was the SummerSlam pay-per-view. And that's when that was kind of the start of the kind of, the Let's Go Cena Sucks time. That's when those chants started. And then it just kind of stayed with people. It was like, then it was, Cena's getting booed against Kurt Angle, and no matter how much they wanted to have Kurt be the heel, he cheats to win. He's got Daivari in his corner, who people will just boo naturally. I mean, he's a foreigner. Like, it wasn't enough, though. People were still cheating Angle over Cena. And yeah, it was just a time when I look back at wrestling, I think, wow, it wasn't the most enjoyable period of time. That year, 2005, wasn't great. You know what I mean? It just seemed like the baby faces were always going over. Not many heels had heat. It just wasn't an enjoyable time in wrestling, for the most part, really. But then it's still John Cena. It's Super Cena. But then he has the match. Well, should I say no? He loses the belt to Edge. And the ratings really picked up, you know what I mean? The ratings when Edge was champion, and even though it was like only 4 weeks, the ratings did go up, but they were set in their ways, WWE, of them having that big pay-per-view match with John Cena and Triple H at WrestleMania 22. And they have the match. Cena wins the belt back against Edge at Royal Rumble. And you know what I mean? It wasn't a great match, but then again, the fans are booing the shit out of John Cena. That was the problem. The fans still weren't taking to John Cena. He wins, but and then again it gets even worse, because then it's the one night. Then it goes to One Night Stand, that ECW One Night Stand, and it's the classic. You remember the big sign if Cena wins, we riot, and again, very hostile crowd. I look back on that match, and that was entertaining, but it was the crowd that made that what it was, really. You got the boo spots and all that. You got the fans really hostile at the front row and throughout the whole crowd, really. And yeah, the fans just weren't taken to John Cena at all. That was understandable, being it was an ECW crowd, but just overall, the WWE fans weren't taking to John Cena. And this is the thing, overall, in going from like 2005 to, like, let's say 2013, 14 time when Cena was at his peak, I mean, these were like, there was good reason that fans were booing him and weren't taking to him. There was just so many reasons. I think like overexposure was a big thing. Cena always being on top of the card, every pay-per-view, every storyline. Some fans just wanted some fresh faces, but it was always Cena as the centerpiece. You know what I mean? And with that, some people thought that maybe Cena and ended up maybe holding some talent back, some young, promising talent. Maybe there was a case that the Nexus were maybe a prime example, that were victims of Super Cena, and that Cena should have put them over. They should have gone over in that match at SummerSlam, the big tag match. Edge and Jericho were wanting to have Nexus go over, but Cena ultimately had the final say, got in Vince McMahon's ear, and ended up being that Super Cena went over. And to a lot of people, that was just kind of ridiculous. They felt when John Cena's getting like DDT'd on the floor, and he hits, I think Justin Gabriel then puts him in the ring, hits him with a 450 splash, but he was still able to come back. At that point, you've been hit with a DDT on the floor, you're very much just out. You're going to be KO'd, you're dead. But it was a case of Superman booking Super Cena. And at just this point, when you were getting into WWE, the PG era in 2009, I think, or maybe 2008, and it was just Cena's character becoming more and more hokey. He wasn't doing the rapping gimmick anymore, and fans were just not they didn't take to this silly lame Cena. Well, not the grown guys anyway, the grown men. Maybe, kids liked him. He was maybe great for the kids, but it was just the older demographic weren't taking to, John Cena. He ended up becoming WWE, he became the marketing machine. He was that corporate face, he was brilliant. I mean, imagine the money alone he's making on merchandise. And just all these media appearances he'll be doing, the make-a-wishes that he'll do. He was the big cash cow for WWE, for Vince McMahon. But it was just that thing sometimes, and maybe when you're getting into that kind of like forced narrative of the hero just being the ultimate good guy in life, maybe there's that thing where there's going to be shades of grey, and so, and that's what worked so well with the Attitude Era, is that a lot of what The Rock did was heelish. A lot of what Stone Cold Steve Austin did was heelish. It was that shades of grey in life. That is kind of life. It's never always as easy as some people are good, some people are bad. That can be the case, and there's some dynamics like that. But most of the time, most people in life, it is a case of shades of grey. But with Cena, it was just that, going back to that like 1980s Hulk Hogan style babyface in many respects. And people just rejected that. I mean, you're going back to now. I mean, you think back to, again, Money in the Bank. It was like that. And again, Money in the Bank with Punk was a bit different because it's his home crowd, Chicago. So fans were going to shit on whoever Punk could have been against for the belt in the main event, whatever. But again, it was just, fans really did gravitate towards Punk because at that point, Punk was more edgy. Punk came in as a little bit of kind of like a bland, typical good guy initially. But all of a sudden now, Punk as a babyface, that's Summer of Punk time. It was great for Punk because Punk could work with a heel with a babyface, because Punk wasn't like a typical babyface at that point. You know what I mean? He was very edgy, and that's what people gravitated towards. I mean, those CM Punk chants throughout the years were loud and clear. He was a star. He was the guy that not just only kids, but adults and the females could gravitate towards. It wasn't quite the same with Cena, because Cena was more pushed down the throats of the fans, and that would piss a large percentage of the fan base off. They want to cheer who they want to cheer, and there should be that level of respect there for the fans. Don't just treat them like marks. Don't kind of come in with that kind of like old school carnival mindset, a carny type mindset, should I say? So there is multiple reasons why Cena got, Cena. You can make the case that, multiple reasons, obviously, that Cena, to many people, will go down as overrated.